Good evening, one and all. Welcome to the August 5th edition of Show Business. I come to you, as always, as Charles, otherwise known as Sipo. Joining me, as always, is Linzo.
Hey. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about movies today. I've got an opinion on a director I don't usually have, so this will be fun.
And you spoiled it. You said, hey, that's Gray's line, but he's currently traveling. But safe travels to Gray. But we do have a replacement. It is Cody. Cody, Leach. How are you, sir?
The second sexiest voice on the internet.
Wait, there we go.
There we go. So, you guys know that this stream's powered by EV Mux?
Oh, yeah.
Lindsay's got a mask. It's the
okay, here, wait. Then if I can angle my computer screen? Hold on, no, we're going to figure this out.
Wait, we could... I don't mind it being on my head. Oh, now I'm a pirate.
Now you're a Cyclops.
Fuck it. Good evening, one and all, to the weekend that was last week. Deadpool and Wolverine, 97 million in first. Twisters is kind of the surprise. Cody took the assignment pretty hard. He's actually living Twisters right now, but that is 23 million in second place. Trap rounds out the top three with 15 million. Despicable Me 4 in fourth with 11. Inside Out 2 just refuses to die with 7 million. Last week on the Twitter X, whatever, profile, we put up a poll, what was coming in second place. And 53% of you thought that Trap was going to come in second. That was wrong. 26 of you, I don't know what the hell you're smoking. Deadpool and Wolverine, wrong. And the 18% that said Twisters are correct. And 2.6%, I don't know what you're doing, but there it is.
Sound of Freedom's coming back.
Purple crayon, bitch!
So, that's the crossover we need, Harold and the Sound of Freedom.
Well, Lindsay, since you're the only person in America that saw Purple Crayon, worth anything?
Not really, man. Like, do you guys remember that the book of no. It was by the guy that was supposed to do Star Wars Episode 9. He also did some of the Jurassic Park movies. Yeah, Trevorrow. But Book of Henry. The Book of Henry felt like it was like made 20 years after anyone would actually give a crap about a movie like that. And that's kind of what this feels like a leftover from like the late 90s, early 2000s kind of throwback kid style thing. Like if this came out in like the early days of 3D, when like, like Spy Kids 3D and all that stuff was coming, I could see maybe doing it with all like the crazy creations they're doing with the crayon. And I'm not going to act like the effect of drawing 2D things into a 3D space and thin air didn't look kind of cool, but it's just a nothing movie. It's just adults going on wacky adventures and dragging this poor kid along. And it's weird. And like when you read about the book, like Harold's best friend are like a porcupine and a moose, but in this movie they turn them into a dude and a chick. So it's like you're already like not getting the characters right. So what little fan base you might have from this 1955's book, you're completely turning off. I'm surprised it made 9 million. Honestly, like Zachary Levi, I do think.
No, it made 6.
6? Oh, 6? Oh, yeah. I gave it some credit it didn't deserve. I do think there's good uses for Zachary Levi. Like he's like a tool, if you try and use a screwdriver to hammer a nail in, it's not going to work. But also, yeah, he's a tool. It's I don't know, man. Like I just was supremely uninterested the entire time. That's not true. The first couple of minutes were cool, kind of 2D animations was kind of fun.
Opening credits were sexy.
Yeah, exactly. But then the moment he goes into the real
That's
world,
awesome.
I've lost interest. Yeah, I don't know. Not
Cody,
a
you
good
have
movie.
kids. Is there any interest whatsoever in Harold?
I
and
forgot
Cody?
that movie even existed until Lindsay mentioned it. I was like, oh yeah, I saw a trailer for that like 4 months ago.
So there's no interest with younger audiences.
No, I mean, and my kids, kids nowadays in general aren't as, don't have their finger on the pulse of what's coming out like I did when I was a kid. But my kids tend to just wait for me to take them. I'm like, we're going to the theater. And I usually don't even tell them what it is. I'm like, let's go. Get your shit. And then we just pull up and they're like, oh, Inside Out 2 posters are everywhere. I'm putting this together.
Noise.
They're like hostages. Take the headband off.
So I'm just waiting for that video of Cody with his kids on the camera being like, I saw the movie with my dad and I really liked it. And he had like a cocking gun in the background.
Blinking twice.
Sound normal.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. So there was the M. Night movie that came out this past weekend, and it happened.
It's a movie.
You saw it, right, Lindsay?
I did. I think I'm the only person here who kind of, sort of, almost liked it, but not really.
Oh, wow!
Like I give it a C+, but I did not like it.
Well,
but towards the end, I guess. Like I like the first like half-ish to a third to 2/3, and then the end completely just bullshit.
The end is
so bad.
Abysmal.
It's so bad.
Which one?
Yeah, it's a very pertinent question.
We'll try to avoid spoilers for a second, but you'll get this warning on the bottom when we do talk about spoilers. But Cody, thoughts before we dive into the pool there, as far as Trap is concerned.
I mean, if there's one thing you can never take away from M. Night is that he always has such a intoxicating premise to his movies, where you just the little elevator pitch, you're like, ooh, yeah. And this one had 2. It was, hey, we're going to follow a serial killer who is trapped in by the police in this concert, and what's he going to do? And the other one is Josh Hartnett's leading the movie again. And both of them, I was like, yes, fuck yes, I'm there. Always loved that guy. And M. Night, as many times as he has really disappointed me, as many times as I've hated a movie or two of his, as many times as he's taken a big swing and just demolished a movie that I was liking, he always sucks me back in. And I'm like, yeah, this feels like a premise that would be hard to fuck up. This feels like something that's simple, kind of hearkening back to more of his earlier work where it's just, excellence through simplicity. And I mean, Josh Hartnett, I think, does a great job. He didn't disappoint me. I do think that he's given some bad dialogue, and I do think he's directed to be a little too quirky, but I don't blame that on him. You can tell that's the direction he's given. Yeah. But for the multi-layers that he has to have with this character being, like, somewhat normal, and then, like, trying to act normal, and it doesn't come off normal at all, being kind of the cringy dad, and then more so in the third act where you actually start to see, like, the mask slip and the actual serial killer kind of presence is there. I think he did a great job. M. Night always shoots his movies really well. It was impressive what he was able to do to actually create the vibe of a concert. I do think that his daughter is a good singer and is a talented, has talent in the music industry. I think she wrote all of those songs, so there's something to be said there. I liked his daughter as well, and I actually liked the way that they wrote her because she's the only character in the movie that always acts human, and every single time he says something weird, she always reacts like a human would, where she's like, no, that's fucking weird for you to say that. I'm not going outside. And that was the only bit of humor, whether it was intended or not, that I actually got a chuckle out of sometimes. It's just her absolutely just putting a sword through whatever bullshit he's trying to pull. But yeah, I mean, the 2 big issues with the film, M. Night's dialogue, whether it is his intended stylistic choice, as I have been, numerous people have tried to enlighten me to this weekend, or not, it just doesn't work in this movie. And the much larger issue is that this movie is so contrived and full of shit that, like, I mean, you reach about 30 minutes into the movie and like little tiny things are coming up and you're like, like it's kind of bullshit, but whatever, I'll forgive it. And then the last half, especially the third act, is just like every 30 seconds is something. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, it made the whole movie feel like it was like a first, second draft script that was really only intended to spotlight his daughter. Like, you watch the trailer and you think, okay, the Lady Raven concert is the backdrop, the serial killer trap thing is the point. And by the end of the film, it felt like, no, the Lady Raven concert was the point and the serial killer thing was just the backdrop.
That's the twist. He trapped us with his daughter.
That's what my opening little cold open was for my review. Almost word for word.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. But no, that's I think I've heard other people make the same joke, and that's why it's you walk out feeling like, wow, okay, there was a double meaning in there to that title.
Yeah, I remember kind of enjoying the music, and that's a thing. Like, usually like music, like fake artists, is not so good unless you're. Let's talk about Powerline from a Goofy movie, best fake artist ever. But I was kind of into some of the songs. I was kind of like, kind of getting into them a bit, and then I looked it up afterwards, and I were like, oh, it's his other daughter. Like, I don't want to hate the guy for trying to give his kids an opportunity, but
it's not the director.
Oh, what?
You said his other daughter.
Oh, because he's got two daughters. It's not the
his
same
oldest
one.
Daughter is the one in this movie. His younger daughter is the one that just directed.
Okay,
correct.
Directed.
See, I thought they were one person. Directed. Got it.
I'm sorry. You're not going to convince me that he wasn't making a lot of decisions. There's way too many similarities to the strengths and especially the flaws of the Watchers, where it's like, you sure you're just a producer? Come on now. This is one of those poltergeist situations.
Sorry, Lindsay.
No, the reason I really wanted to look her up is because, like, for the first chunk of the movie where she's just doing concert stuff, it's awesome. But then when she starts kind of becoming a character and she starts talking to people,
hands are the third act. Go.
Yeah.
Act.
It's like, I don't want to be rude. I know I've turned in not incredible performances and things before in the past when I was doing acting stuff, but she should stick to the singing. And it really makes the third act of this movie very hard to watch. There's other reasons why it's hard to watch too, but her in particular is a real reason why it kind of gets dragged down.
Yeah,
at least for me anyway.
Like Gray mentioned, a lot of the shots and a lot of the way it's presented is kind of, he used the word surreal. I would agree with that. There are times where they do POV and it's almost like where it's trying to hit you over the head, like this is going to mean something. And
yeah, because they did it a lot in one sequence.
Yes.
And then it just kind of, it's like they forgot, oh, fuck, yeah, we were supposed to do that.
Right. Where I was like, okay, there might be something beneath the surface here, and this might be giving us clues.
Something else that I thought, too, and I haven't been able to discuss with anybody. So we all saw the trailer before the movie, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in the trailer, the order of information that you get is him getting the revelation that this concert is a trap for this serial killer, the Butcher. And then the very next reveal is he goes to the bathroom, opens up his phone, and it's like, oh, he's the killer. But in the movie, it's reversed.
Yep.
And I found it so awkward because I tried to picture what it would be like to watch this if you hadn't seen the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
And so he just randomly walks into a bathroom, opens his phone, and there's a dude in a chain. And it's like, what does that mean? And then you get the reveal about, oh, we're trying to trap this killer, the Butcher. I found it was so awkward to do it that way, where in the trailer I was like, that's actually a really cool little 1-2 punch.
No, 100% agreed. That annoyed me so much. I actually completely forgot about that. It's like, it reminds me of an Old. And I whenever I talk about Shyamalan, I always talk about all those movies because I'm that weird guy. But there's a couple of sequences in Old where the kids would be like, oh, let's go play tag. And then they'd go and eat. And then they'd go and have a scene where they play tag. And then while they're playing tag, they talk about how they're hungry. And so it's just like, wait, what is the order these scenes are being shown to us in? And this moment in Trap gave me flashbacks to that, because it would have been like, I understand. Everyone who sees this movie is going to know that Josh Hartnett is the killer, I guess, in theory.
But
unless
really?
You're like, I mean, I guess if you're seeing it in theaters, maybe if you're watching it on TV in like a few years down the road, or like on streaming or something, you don't know it.
Lindsay, are you familiar with the Dexter show?
I've seen a couple of random scenes.
There's music in that first act where it's very Dextery, and
really,
for at least me, I was like, oh, they might. The guy in the phone might
Mhm.
be the killer, and Josh Hartnett's doing some sort of hero thing.
I thought of
Oh.
that too. Like our buddy Ken Sledge had posted something on Twitter, and he's like, "So what's everybody's guesses for the twist?" And which, by the way, that's one thing that's always a bitch about M. Night is he's so synonymous with twist endings. When you hear like the pitch of his movie, your brain subconsciously is like, "Okay, let's reverse engineer this shit. What's going to happen?" But that's what I thought. My first thought was either his daughter is the psycho, and maybe he's just the accomplice, or he gets
Huh.
her victims or whatever, like let the right one in, or it's a Dexter situation and he's also there to take down the killer, and that's going to be the reveal.
Oh,
I would have taken either of those.
Yeah.
You know, the other one I
Royalty-free
thought
music
too,
was like
the other one I
back
thought
first.
too, which it popped in my head for a second, and I immediately went, no, I don't want that, was what if by the end of this, it's another Unbreakable Universe movie, and he's got like, there's something that's going to be revealed with him.
Oh,
And I was,
would've-
my brain was like, nope, I don't want that. And then by the end of it, I was like, you know,
I'll
if they
take
had
it.
actually committed and said there was something supernatural that for a reason why he's able to do all this nonsensical bullshit, it would have made the movie actually better.
there was a part of me that kind of was looking out in the background for something that would make this an Unbreakable movie. I don't
Mhm.
know why, but just going into it, I had that sense. I think it was because it's like Unbreakable, Split, Glass, Trap. Like
Mhm.
it felt like it would just fit so perfectly, and no.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all right. So again, spoilers in case
Mhm.
you haven't heard. When this thing on the bottom goes away, we'll be done. The like the neighbor, the best friend, or not the best friend, the mother and daughter combo.
The best friend, his wife. No, at the concert. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
where they
Yeah,
like
yeah,
got
right,
into a fight every couple of times.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I thought that was going to be just something, and it was such a red herring. It was so weird how much
Yeah.
time they devoted to that mom and daughter combo, where it was just
Yeah, we never really
nothing.
figured out what was the feud there. There was no resolution, and there was also a moment earlier on in the film, maybe I don't know, before the halfway point, where it's one of the few times where the movie actually pauses and lets M. Night's daughter like actually talk to the crowd, and she's not just kind of dancing and doing her thing. And she gives this speech about like past trauma or somebody that wronged her, basically. And she's like, everybody, like I decided one day that I was going to set this person free, to free me from the guilt or free me from the burden. So I want everybody to do that. Put your phones in the air. And it was such like a deliberate moment that I thought even that was going to play off later. Like maybe things are going to go crazy in the third act. The daughter's going to have to set her father free, or he's going to set himself free from his mother. Like that line of dialogue was so deliberately put in front of you, and the movie literally paused for it. And then it never comes up again. And I was like, what the fuck? And so there was a couple of those where just like basic script writing stuff, just like with the POV, it just kind of fizzled off into nothing.
That, and like in the first act when he's in the bathroom, we have that like vision of the old lady
Mhm.
and nothing. Like, what was that about?
That's his mother.
Yeah, it's his mom.
Yeah, but why didn't they do like? I mean, you're doing POVs, so why not have it be a POV shot? Because we, the audience, saw the mother, and then she kind of went like, I don't understand the cinematic language of showing us that from that perspective.
Oh, I see.
I'd have to see it again. I don't know. I
Yeah.
remember just there's about 3 or 4 times throughout the movie where you see her, and it's clear enough that it's an apparition or in his head, and then you kind of get the context of it. The last 5 minutes of the movie.
At the very end, where they did like I guess the payoff for the mom, and it's really the FBI lady the whole time. Like I saw that coming. I was just like just watching this, like it's the FBI lady. It's the FBI lady. Why are we trying to hide this? But again, that's the third act when everything falls apart. So stuff that I did like. Again, Hartnett, the
We're
daughter.
still bitching about it, man. It's not time
sorry.
for that.
No. Okay, I'll wait. I will wait.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Like you said, Cody, Hartnett and the daughter, great. I love both of them. The shirt guy at the concert was like a little weird and a little kind of inhuman to me, but there was something about him that was also kind of charming, and I liked his little like kind of post credit thing. That was kind of cute.
I laughed at that. I enjoyed that.
Right?
I was like, okay, you got one giggle out of me before I walk out of here and start bitching.
I didn't see that. What was the post credit thing?
Him on his couch.
Yeah.
The dude who sold him the merch and took him backstage. He's on the couch and they're doing the the report about like, the nationwide manhunt comes to a close and we've finally caught the butcher and the identity of him is this man, Cooper something. And it's all just showing his reaction. And he's like, I helped him. And then he goes, I ain't talking to nobody at work no more. I was like,
that
okay.
is cute. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay. All right.
That was fun. And I think I know which sequence you were talking about where they kind of overly showed everything, so you're able to kind of see where it was going with like the jug and the fryer. But I did enjoy in the first chunk of the movie how it was kind of showing us a lot of stuff without saying things. Like we were just like with Cooper, just as he's
M. Night's good at that. If there's
Yeah.
something he's good at is showing us things. Do not tell us things.
But I was totally on board with that. The movie was like actually letting me kind of use my brain and kind of piece things together a little bit. It wasn't like the most complicated thing ever, but like it was a step in the right direction for M. Night. And then again, he completely ruined it in the third act where he over-explained everything to the point where there was almost no point in trying to hide things in the beginning.
Yeah,
but
we don't establish that the pop singer is at all brave for that third act to play out the way it does. It's just, I'm sorry, why is she going to do all this by herself? What is this?
Yeah, she's supposed to be like Taylor Swift level, no security.
Yeah, wait out here.
Not only that,
I'm going to save the day.
I mean, we could dedicate an entire stream, and I did a whole hour-long spoiler breakdown, like going through every little thing that I called bullshit on. But like, one thing that maybe you guys can answer, or maybe you won't, and then I'll feel validated. So before it's even revealed that she's going to try to do something and try to be brave, like they're in this limousine, she knows he's the killer, and he's like, yeah, just drive us. And then he goes, hey, just let us off at this corner and we'll go to our car. What the fuck was the plan if they let him out? Just let the pop star go that now knows you're the killer?
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming maybe he would have run or something.
That's actually a really good point.
Just trying to get free, no?
He seemed very deliberately focused on not blowing things up at his house, his family not knowing about it, to the point where she's locked in the bathroom with his phone, about to ignite his entire world, and he's just steadily knocking on the door because he doesn't want to like rage out in front of his family, even though her calling the cops is inevitably going to make all that blow up anyway. Another thing I was just
like she streamed to TikTok or something like that, right? Like that was it. It's weird because like I don't know how he got rid of the family because they're outside the garage or whatever.
He said that he put them upstairs or something like that, I think, but still, it's like I don't. I asked somebody that. I was like, why you're not going to convince me he wouldn't just break that door down to get the phone out of her hands. He's just going to sit there and knock and wait till she's done doing what she's doing. And somebody said, well, he doesn't want to show his family that side of him. I'm like, well, if the cops come, they're going to see that side of him pretty goddamn quick.
Yeah. And then what was it? So there was that scene too right before that led right where she's singing on the piano. And maybe this is just me. And like, I know that, lip syncing is a thing. I'm not hating on it. It's a tool. You use it when you need it. But if I was filming my daughter singing on a piano in a simple scene in just a living room, I would think I would put more effort into hiding the fact that she was lip syncing, because that felt extremely obvious. It was very awkward. Like they kept just like showing her mouth and it wouldn't be moving, or it wouldn't.
Oh, you're talking about like.
Yeah, it was just like, and it just kept going and it wouldn't stop. And I just felt so bad for her as she's like.
I thought like when she took the daughter's phone in that scene, like it took me a good 10 seconds to realize when she got to the bathroom and she started like screaming. I'm like, wait a minute. She wouldn't have the daughter's login info. Like it took me a second to be like, oh, she has her own phone. Why did she take the daughter's phone? There was just 2 or 3 things. It was like, why even do that then? If you already have a phone, just fucking, why not just stream the entire thing?
Quick, but I her taking the daughter's phone was explained away in like one little quick second where she asked for the girl's phone and then took his phone instead, like, oh, I'll just use yours, and then ran off. Like, it's some weird thing to like not cause suspicion from the other 3 people in the room, even though he was going to lose his shit. It's not clean whatsoever, but that's what he was going for.
Yeah,
it's a very dirty movie.
That third act is very choppy.
How about I figured out that you, wife, is the one that set this entire thing in motion. So explain what your plan was to me. Oh, well, I was suspicious about you staying home late or staying out late a number of times, and I thought that maybe you were having an affair. So I followed you and then followed you to this abandoned building that he says he used to go to just think sometimes. And then you left. So I went back on my own and saw the chair or something in there. And then the thought occurred to me, maybe he's the butcher. So rather than call the fucking cops and leave an anonymous tip that this guy, my husband, this guy living at such and such avenue is the butcher, and have the cops arrest him and see if there's enough evidence to tie him to it, I'm going to tear a receipt in half and leave it here, then make an anonymous phone call to get the cops to come to this building where there's nothing. They'll find the receipt, set up this big convoluted hundreds of thousands of dollar fucking operation with thousands of innocent people, including my daughter, to maybe catch my husband, and then I'll find out if there's any evidence then.
Yeah. Like
the piece about the wife setting everything up, cool. Everything else, go fuck yourself.
Well, yeah, because it's like, if she's leaving evidence and they've got an idea, like how are they not looking for him specifically at the concert? Why are they grabbing random dudes and like talking to them? It's
well, she only left enough to show them that was the location. She said, like, I made it look like an accident because people accidentally tear receipts up, I guess. Right. But anyway, she said, I made it look like an accident. So the only information they got from the receipt is this concert at this time.
Right.
And then there's a point where they have like 5 different possible descriptions because of this security camera footage, all wildly different. But the funny thing about that is, like, all throughout the movie, it shows like the cops like tackling somebody or ripping somebody out of the stands that come somewhat close to one of these. And Josh Hartnett interacts with how many fucking cops and how many SWAT members, and nobody says, I know you got a name tag, but you are like a direct fucking match for one of these little things we got. Not one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that, what was that moment where one of the SWAT guys was like, we should talk to that guy. But then I think it was M. Night Shyamalan's character was like, no, he's with me.
Yeah. And then he whispers in his ear and just like,
there's like 4 of those.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but
I'll be that guy.
About how many SWAT guys are there, how many police are there, like how much is this costing taxpayers to just think we're going to get them? Like, that was such a...
You would go there.
Dude,
my fucking money's paying for this shit.
You better get him.
You let him walk past you and get coffee.
Well, it's just so funny too, because it's like, I get it. You want your movie to make sense, but like,
it does.
Spend time explaining the things that matter. No one's gonna sit there. No one whose opinion matters is to sit there and go like, "Well, how'd the cops know he was going to be at that concert? Maybe a victim survived, and the entire time he was being held hostage, the dude was listening to Lady Raven. So now they're like staking out all her concerts or something like
There's
that."
There's an idea there. It's the execution where it's just like,
it's just. Yeah. That's why the movie falls apart for me so much in that third act. It's like, it's brought up so much goodwill, and I'm on board for the simplicity. I'm on board for the fact that it's not over explaining things. And then it just goes and does all the things that it wasn't doing that made me like it. It's amazing.
So here, let's just do a play-by-play of the third act here, right? And I'll try to, for time, I'll try not to go too overboard. But, okay, so Lady Raven has now blown up his life. She has called the cops, and she has got people to release this guy because, of course, it took about 25 seconds for the entire fan base of hers to find this house. And so he gets her in the car. By the way, big missed opportunity for a great joke there when she tries to do the Pamela Voorhees thing on him, and it actually works. Like, how fucking funny would it be if she goes on this whole monologue like his mother, and he just laughs. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill the fuck out of you when we get out of here. Like, anyway. I didn't write the movie. So family's in front of the movie, or family's in front of the car. He just stands there, doesn't move. She gets out of the car, leaves, gets into the limo. Cops show up. He goes inside. That was the first time I thought the movie was ending. I figured, because he says something like fatherly to his kids, and then lets the garage door down. I said, okay, he's gonna end things.
Yeah, when he's like, you have school on Tuesday, don't forget to write that paper or something.
Yeah, which would have been an interesting enough ending. Yes. A little cliche, but still. Okay, so I thought he was gonna end things there, and whatever. And then person in SWAT gear comes up to the limo driver. Hey, I'm gonna drive. Okay. And I'm like, okay, obviously that's him.
Yeah.
Starts driving away, handcuffs her, goes 4 or 5 blocks, ends up in a spot where people are surrounding this vehicle, hundreds of Lady Raven fans. She peeks out through the window. They start losing their shit. And then the SWAT surrounds the car. And somehow Josh Hartnett teleports out of the car and gets into the crowd. Or if you want to take that out of it, he got out of the car, fixed up this little SWAT gear mannequin of himself, shut the door. All right, excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Hang on. Excuse me. Gets over to the back of the crowd, and then when the SWAT people come up, don't fucking move! And they start shooting the car. Not one person's like, dude in street clothes over here got out of the car 5 seconds ago. He's right here. Well, then he eventually goes back to his house and get the whole revelation. He realizes his wife set him up, going to butcher her, and she goes, wait, before, let's have pie. He sits down. And this
no
is
shirt off. He took his shirt off, by the way. Remember that. For no reason.
Well, I mean, I wanted to see it, but no, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
but no, so the movie, this is where the movie constantly has a battle with itself, too, where we're supposed to believe that this character is so diabolical and so smart and so schemy that he just gets away with everything. And then they give him, in the third act, so many moments where he's the dumbest motherfucker ever. Sits down to have pie with his wife, doesn't question, why is she not eating? And maybe she fucked with the pie. Yeah, and so then you get that whole thing. Doesn't seem to really affect him a whole lot. Gets tased, puts the eyes into one guy, apparently, in the PG-13 way. Then they go outside. Nationwide manhunt for this guy. Huge serial killer. We're going to have hundreds of SWAT members to try to take this dude down. He's so dangerous. But let's let him pick up a bike. And let's let him hug his daughter, because he won't try to use that to his advantage in any way. And, apparently bike spokes are silent. They're not, hang on, guys.
He's really
I'll be right there. Hang on. I mean, it's every minute of just extreme bullshit. And so, I hate being that guy, because there's certain movies where you should be able to just, kind of let reality go and vibe with the movie. But when it's every minute is this huge red flag, I can't fucking do it. It's a snowball of bullshit.
There's a moment of reverse Chekhov's gun where, like you said, when they surrounded the limo, they unloaded guns into him. But then when they're at the house, they use electric shock. What? You were fine unloading 7 clips.
He's murdering one of them. They're like, fucking crank this bitch up.
Fucking guy was Jason Voorhees with 7 people just, yeah, I need more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make sense. You could do it in the other way, have him get tased first and then shoot at him, but it doesn't make sense how you'd open fire in public.
Not only that, so the FBI people were hanging out in the other room waiting for him to confess everything. And it's he just walks around for a full 5 minutes before they even try to do anything. It's dude, fuck that wife's life, apparently. No worry about her. Pop, dead.
Collateral damage.
Yeah.
She was on Picard. No one likes her. It's okay.
Yeah.
She was in Scott Pilgrim. I enjoyed
her. She's the drummer at Scott Pilgrim. I always forget that. Okay, never mind. She can live.
But I've seen defenses for this movie. And if you're telling me...
You too.
I have. Well, we'll get to that.
By the way, sorry, but before we go to that, quick question. So he gets out of the limo and he disappears into the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes back to his house and all that stuff happens. And then he manages to get out of the handcuffs. And the implication is he escapes and he just off into the night and they never see him again. So it's the exact same ending as if he gets out of the limo and they don't find him. So do we really need that whole scene with his wife, or is that just adding 15 minutes to the
movie?
Maybe
they gave us a clue where we got all the endings.
Yeah, I think that was intended to be the twist, if there is a twist, besides the initial hook is, it was your wife set the trap for you. But the way they explained it away was abysmal.
It's terrible. But anyway, yeah, go ahead, CP. I cut you off. I just had to throw that out there.
If that movie is a comedy, does it make it more, I don't know, tolerable that all of this is so silly and absurd?
Well, the first objective as a comedy is to make me laugh. So I think I would have a whole different myriad of issues with it if it was billed as a comedy.
Yeah.
I just
and a comedy still has to follow some logic. Again, we kind of talked about this before we went live. People that are defending this movie with that defense are acting like this is like The Transporter or Shoot 'em Up. And it's like, yeah, this is it like Fast 9 or something. Like, yeah, we know not to ask logic issues about those movies. They're not taking themselves seriously at all. You're going to argue that this movie doesn't take itself seriously at all? We're not meant to be on edge or tense or invested at all. It's just all for fun.
Well, another good example is like in the Fast movies, they go to space in a jalopy. How much time do they spend explaining how the jalopy or whatever car it was, I'm bad with cars, is airtight and like spaceworthy? None. They just do it because it's fun. And if you don't spend a lot of time dwelling on it, no one's going to care.
You've never seen a Lamborghini take a submarine missile?
My apologies. Yeah, I live a very sheltered life. But then you have M. Night, who likes to over-explain everything, and it's a paradox. Like the more you explain it, like the less people are willing to give you that wiggle room in order to like kind of cover up for little plot holes and things like that.
I don't think putting him in the Tommy Wiseau, Neil Breen category is like, that's not good. He's a really good visual storyteller, but his dialogue is awful. People have said like this person doesn't know how to speak, that person, like all of his characters speak like no humans I've ever interacted with in my life. It's so like hokey and strange, and it's so unnatural. And I guess if it's supposed to be a comedy, or supposed to be like, this is how aliens perceive us to speak, that's one thing. But I can't get at all grounded in reality, because none of it is grounded in reality. It's all absurd.
Yeah. And there's movies where that style works better than others. Like, I think that it works in Signs. I think the tone of that movie is just quirky enough where it doesn't feel out of place. I have a lot of unintentional fun with The Happening. I think that it works really well in Split, because you have James McAvoy who's able to sell it with etc. Like, he's able to make it funny and make the weirdness of it feel like appropriate for that character. But this is just one of those times where, if you want to call it his style just didn't work this time.
I agree.
And that's something that is fucking possible to happen, which is what I've been beating my head against concrete on Twitter with people, where they're just, that's the one defense. Well, that's his style. That's what he does with all of his movies. Well, it didn't fucking work this time. Like, if we have Quentin Tarantino in Inglourious Bastards, and you've got Hitler rattling off a bunch of pop culture references, and we're like, what the fuck? This is weird. Like, yeah, that's his style, but it doesn't make sense here.
For the record, I would love to see like an interpretation of Hitler talking about 1930s movies or whatever, like just because no one would get the references. So
have you not seen Inglourious Bastards?
Wait, does he
talk about film all the time?
No, Hitler doesn't. Hitler, okay, get out of here. I was just like, hold on a minute. I've seen that movie twice.
So that kind of leads into things, Cody. Cody had a weekend with. Rarely do I get to say what is wrong with you regarding drama, so let me have my moment, sir. Cody pissed off M. Night Twitter, which I didn't realize was a thing.
I'm always shocked to find out these little pockets of Twitter. Like, I didn't realize there was Winnie the Pooh stands a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, fuck. What door did I open? But, yeah, I don't know. It was weird. I posted my review or whatever. Review was doing really well, and I just, throughout the next day or so, I just kept seeing a lot of really weird defenses from it. Even from some people that I know usually seem more sensical than that. I was just like, I was seeing everything from, like, this is all just because people love to hate on M. Night. And for me, as somebody who has seen every film this man has ever made, most of which in the theater, and I've been on YouTube talking about his films and kind of being in the conversation of it for the last 6 or 7 of them, I always thought it was kind of like a universal understanding that this guy is either extreme hit or extreme miss. Like, yes, he gave us Sixth Sense, he gave us Signs, he gave us Unbreakable. He's had a couple since then, like Split. I really like Glass. Knock at the Cabin was pretty good. But then you got Last Airbenders, you got After Earths, you have Old. And so I would have never thought in my life that saying this one missed was like controversial, unless it was a Sixth Sense level, which this is not. And so I was sitting, I went to go grocery shop or something like that. And so I was, there was a traffic jam, there was an accident or something. And so I'm sitting on this on-ramp for like half an hour. can't back up, can't leave, can't go anywhere. I'm just stuck. And so I'm basically parked waiting for them to clear this wreck. And I'm sitting there scrolling through Twitter. I see somebody that I know saying like people are just hating on M. Night. And then I see somebody else saying, oh, it must be because he's a person of color. And then I saw something else where it's like, this is his intended style. People just don't know how to vibe with it. It's a you thing. Like it was almost like Twitter was baiting me. They're like, look at all this shit that you don't agree with. And so I was seeing all of that. And so I was sitting there and I got bored and I was like, okay. So I just did a little video that was like 45 seconds long where I was like, it's weird. Like, basically just saying like, what is up with these excuses and these weird like defenses? Like, it's okay if that's his style, but it doesn't mean that it worked this time. And wasn't really anything inflammatory. I mean, it was pretty innocuous. And so I posted it. And some fuckhead that I have since blocked, so I can't say his name, otherwise I would, quote tweeted it and basically framed it as me shooting while I was driving. I opened the video by saying, I'm stuck in traffic, so let's chat for a minute. And you can see from my window that I'm still in cars on the highway are just So that guy kicked it up to where all of a sudden his people started to see it. And then it was just like in 15 minutes, it went from like 3 quote tweets to like 45 quote tweets. And so I just deleted it because I knew where it was going from there. I was like, okay, it's going to be a whole day of people just doing the dunk thing and nobody's going to engage with the word that I said. And then maybe a couple of hours later, that video was still kind of circulating. And this chick was just losing her mind at the fact that I had the audacity to film a video in my truck rather than an office. And it sounds like I'm making it up, but that is 100% of what she stuck to for almost 2 days. Like never once said like anything about what I was actually saying in the video, like that she didn't agree or she loves M. Night or Trap was awesome, nothing. It was just the fact that I had a beard and filmed in a truck.
Wow.
And it was just like this barrage of tweets. And I saw it later on after I had, I deleted the video, posted something on Twitter where I said, M. Night videos deleted. Apparently people didn't realize that I was parked, even though I said it. And so, of course, everybody that, actually follows me is like, you said it in the first 3 seconds. That's stupid. Fucking Twitter. And so she screenshotted that and then kept going an hour later. And she's like, that's still a weird thing to do, dork. Like, I had all these weird, like, names. Dork, dip ass, like all these weird, like I think he had invented words. So this chick was losing her ever-loving mind on me. And that went on for, what is it, 22 hours, Charles?
Yes, 22. He said 2 days, but it was 22, clearly.
Yeah, I said 2 days, meaning like Saturday and Sunday, because we were halfway through Sunday at this point. And she's like, see, this is why he's an ingenuous dork. That was just 2 people. And then I got this guy who I've seen on Twitter a number of times, Jeff Zhang. And he seems to be like this really up his ass, pretentious critic that everybody roasts all the time. So luckily this didn't really go anywhere, but he quote tweeted it and said some really off the wall shit where he's just like, if you stop watching movies through the lens of logic and start looking at them through the lens of storytelling and a visual medium, then you will enjoy films more, or something weird like that. And I was like, never said a word about the logic in this video, so you come across pretty pretentious.
Yeah.
And so that's the 3 major ones, but of course there was a whole bunch of crap in between, and I'm sure there's a lot of it that I'm not even seeing. As soon as I kind of said my last piece with this psychotic Fangoria chick, I just like stopped looking. So for all I know, it's still snowballing somewhere in some corner of Twitter, but yeah.
People will just rage bait anything. It's like, I get it. It's a way to make money. It's a way to get people to look at you. But like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. So she used, I saw a couple of her many tweets where I don't know, you're kind of projecting there, sweetheart. She used a right-wing derogatory slang for Cody, and I can't help but think if maybe this is some sort of leftover or trying to reinvigorate the In Praise of Shadows stuff, because like, what does him being a chud have to do with anything? Never mind, like his looks. It feels good to talk about a man's looks in horror YouTube rather than a woman's. But like, what are we doing? What do we like? What does any of this have to do with anything?
Also, I don't feel like you qualify as chud status. I feel
That-
like you're definitely above that. Like a good number of degrees.
That's what I'm saying,
above
though,
that.
because he was
Like,
in that conservative video,
I
which
guess that's I don't know, man. People are weird. Like there's all this Mr. Beast drama going on right now, and I'm not paying attention to it. But like my YouTube feed is still flooded with it. It's
yeah,
every other video being recommended to me right now is the situation gets worse. Well, okay, guys, if every video about it right now is the situation gets worse, like what's the point of even making a video? Like it should just be like an ongoing Twitter thread. Anyway, like I don't get online drama, man.
that's a good
I just don't.
comparison.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if your feed has that and Cody filming in a parked car,
Yeah.
what is the
What's
big
the real
travesty?
crime here? Yeah.
The best part is like I had this one account which was it was obvious like troll account. Like you ever click on a profile and you just read the first 3 tweets by them and you're like, oh, okay, like that's what they do.
Yeah.
So somebody he literally screen recorded the video before I deleted it and then reposted it as like a fuck you, this is never going away kind of thing. And like here's this controversial video that he's trying to wipe. And everybody in the comments is like, what's controversial about this? Like, it was so fucking funny where I'm just sitting there like, I wouldn't really have much of reason to be nervous about it being misinterpreted because there's nothing to misinterpret. But
Right.
I just laughed and everybody's like, is this really how bored we are today? Like, fuck.
It seems like it's the second time where people are trying to get you, and there's not even smoke. I don't know why they think there's fire.
It's got to be frustrating as shit when you hate somebody who's as clean as this.
I love how you say that as you're wearing the Jeff Goldblum with the shirt on.
Exactly. That's me leaning back, looking at my Twitter feed. Like, oh, they're coming at me again. What do they got this time?
Well, because that's the other thing. Like when people don't really think about, like you're getting a boost out of this too.
Right.
Like you're getting a lot of attention. I mean, you always have a little bit of attention on you, but you're getting a lot of people. Like it's gonna make you bigger in some way because people are gonna come in and say like, oh wait, why are people upset at this dude? Oh, that's it. Well, I'll give him a follow just for him not being as bad as this other person said he is. And everyone does things in cars. How many random assholes film videos in cars these days?
It was the weirdest. I mean, most of it, when you keep reading, it's like, clearly she hates me because I have a penis. Like, that's where it all stems from.
Well, how dare you?
And then she had the audacity to pull the fucking the sexism card because people had an issue with what she was doing. And it's like, of course, because a male had an issue with me saying something, I have to censor myself. And it's like, you crazy fucking bitch. But yeah, I don't know. Just the few people, like if I was filming that video while driving, I deserve to get roasted. Sure. Fucking ridiculous. Absolutely. But I wasn't. And so the people that tried to roast me and then realized they had nothing to stand on, she just like quadrupled down. And even the fuckface that kind of kicked it all off that I blocked, like he posted that, and then my reply was, I was parked, but sick burn, bro. And then he goes out, oh, well, anyway, next time you have anything wonderful that you need to share, be sure to do it, like some condescending thing. And it's hilarious on Twitter when you get somebody and it's just like, you realize you're stupid. And they did this instead of just saying like, my bad. Like, okay, cool. High five. You got
the
me.
flip side is they just delete it. Like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. It's gone.
Or that, but the ones that just like quadruple down or they just pivot, they're like, oh, well, you're an idiot anyway. Like, that's always funny for me.
No, I wasn't going to say this, but you're sexist.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Cool.
So, Lindsay, you said C+. Is that a hot take? Like, I don't know.
It doesn't feel like a hot take for me because, like, in my book, Old and Knock at the Cabin are unwatchable crimes against cinema. Like that, if anything,
really,
we don't need to get too.
It's so weird that M. Night is like that, where it's just like, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
like he's not consistent.
No.
He's very inconsistent.
That's actually kind of part of the appeal. He's so inconsistent that the fact that you have no idea what you're walking into quality-wise is kind of enticing. You're like, I could be walking into a banger or I could be walking into my bottom 5 of the year. I don't fucking know, but let's find out.
Yeah, it's like a mystery box. Why not?
Yeah.
But I think that's actually why I'm... lenient's not the right word. That's why I enjoyed it more than I usually did, because I went in assuming I was going to hate this, but then it's just like, oh, Josh Hartnett's being cool, being dope. I actually am enjoying a kid in an M. Night movie. That doesn't happen very often, and the camera work was fun, and I kind of liked the dorky. There was just things in it that made me that filled me with positive feelings. I guess I'm sitting here expecting anger, and I'm kind of smiling a little bit, and kind of got sucked into it. I'm just as surprised as you guys are, especially because, again, like, it completely falls apart in the end. So maybe C+ is too nice. Maybe just a C, like a 74, not even like a 75 out of 100. I will watch this one again. I don't know if I'll could say that about like a lot of his movies. Like, a lot of his career is one and done for me, but I would watch this one again.
Yeah, Marcy 45 Danish Corner Talk.
What's up, Marcy?
What up, folks? I'm totally agree on, especially with Cody's negative things about Trap. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I wish it would have been better, a lot better.
Yeah,
Likewise.
Yeah. And
what's funny is, like, I feel like Trap suffers some, like, the exact same issues. Well, not one of the big issues that the Watchers had, where if you just end the movie 20 minutes earlier, it'd be a little abrupt and maybe not theatrical length, but it would be so much better. Like, it's 2 movies in a row with the M. Night name on it that, like, if you just make them shorter, they're better. That blows my mind.
2 movies in a row, too, where there's big moments where you call bullshit that throws it into a big fucking spin.
Yeah.
Like the Watchers, it's like, oh, you've been in this one room for months, maybe years. I can't completely remember, but at least months. And none of you moved the fucking rug once. None of you ever. There's like 3 things to play with in this fucking room.
Especially when she starts, like, drawing the map on the floor. You drew that much of the map and you didn't move the carpet. Are you serious?
Yeah.
So if you watched Trap and I told you that the writer, it was directed by M. Night, everything's the same except the writer. The writer is actually Neil Breen or Tommy Wiseau. Does your opinion change?
Well, I'd call bullshit because no one says hi Mark in the movie, so clearly it's not written by Tommy Wiseau.
Neil Breen, then.
Okay.
My opinion doesn't change. In the review, I just blame somebody else besides M.
Night. So why is there this, like, baked in defense? Like, that's just his way of doing things, where I think he's really good at visual. I think he's atrocious at dialogue. And again, his kids, not his kids, but I don't know why he needs to have children in his movies so much, but I got Serious Visit vibes with the daughter. Was good at times, but Josh Hartnett's daughter. She was good at times, but at times it was, like, again, unnatural.
Excuse me.
And I don't want to say that about child actors, but
remember the kid in Old who just walked up to everybody randomly? What's your name and occupation?
Yes, just really, really weird shit.
I'm a rapper. My name is Mid-Sized Sedan.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I do kind of respect the balls to call your character Mid-Sized Sedan. Like, almost, kind of, not really, but...
Dude, he's writing dad jokes into his fucking movies. It's awful.
He is. And another thing that I almost forgot about is, so in The Visit and then in Old, he makes a lot of weird jokes about, like, hip hop and, like, rap culture and stuff like that. And then there's Kid Cudi in this movie, who I guess is, like, a bit of, like, a hip hop artist. And he's, like, saying weird kind of things and, like, being kind of flirty with his daughter and stuff like that. Like, it's weird. Like, what is it with him and hip hop culture? I don't get it. It's 3 movies now.
Yeah, he has a nice eye, but again, when Tim from we were at that screener and he was talking about how funny it would be to see your grandparents, experiencing dementia. It was just like, wait, are you serious? Like, why would it be funny that I'd experience my grandparents going through dementia? What about that is funny?
I'm telling you, dude, the humor in his head is very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just abnormal. All of it is just so, like, do you know what emotion is? Because again, it really fools you, because he knows how, like, shit, his first couple of movies, like, it was quite dramatic. The emotions were there with the way he was visually telling you things. But in the last 10 years or so, it's just like, do you know how humans talk? Like, at all?
I would love. He'll never do it, but I would love him to direct a script not written by him. I don't think he'll ever do it, but I would be interested.
Rob
in that.
Zombie.
Get him to do a Rob Zombie script.
Zack
That'd be
Snyder.
amazing.
He cut 30 minutes off of the slow-mo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to see what order I want to go in here. So last night, The Last of Us Season 2 had a teaser at the end of House of Dragon. Didn't get much footage, but it's out there. If you want to see the minute 7 worth of footage, it's there.
I saw zombies.
One.
Okay, zombie. One. I saw zombie. Okay, fair.
Are you pumped?
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I haven't played the games, but I loved season 1. And I guess the games are finally on Steam, so I'm out of excuses. So I should finally just buy them and play them. I never had a PlayStation 4 or 5 or whatever they're on now. But I love season 1, so I'm so goddamn down. I do know a little bit about part 2, so I kind of, we could try and avoid some spoilers here. But I am excited.
Cody, you might be a little more informed than any of us, but is it true that they're going to cut the game part 2 in half, and season 2, the show, will be not all of it?
I'm pretty sure they said that a while ago, yeah, because the story in the second game is massive, significantly bigger than the first one, and so I don't even, as a fan, I don't even know how you could do that in 2 seasons. It's going to be a stretch to get it done in 2 seasons.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, they that added in with the fact that they're clearly going to make some changes. I don't know how significant. Maybe just with reordering some things, because in the second game, the time jumps around a little bit. Mm-hmm. You have certain things that happen in the past, technically, that you get through flashbacks. You have certain things that happen from one character's perspective, and then you see it again from another character's perspective. So I don't know what they're going to change, if they change big major things. But I'm pretty sure they confirmed that season 2 and season 3 are basically going to tell the whole story of the second game. And so I would assume... I try to think of how they're going to do that. And without spoiling things, my assumption is that they're going to take the big major event that happens in like the first act of the second game, and that's going to kind of be pushed to be the season finale of season 2.
Yeah.
To get everybody like, and then you get all the aftermath in season 3. That would be my assumption.
Well, the game is essentially, well, not essentially, but it's basically A plot, B plot running parallel to, the same kind of ending. So you could probably do that, even just running them at the same time this time, as opposed to telling one version and the other.
Mm-hmm. And I think this season is like 2 episodes shorter than last season. So I would, that even kind of fits into my thinking, where season 2 is going to be a lot of bridging the timeline between season 1 and kind of the beginning of the game and the events that kick off Act 1. And then season 2, I would imagine, will be a longer season that is going to be exactly that, the AB storyline coming to a head. Because otherwise, structurally, it doesn't make any sense. Like, there's nothing else after that big event in the game that makes sense as a pause point for a year.
Right.
Interesting.
And Liz, you haven't played this game.
I see a lot of YouTube shorts about people running and gunning in those games. No, I'm not kidding. I know a little bit about the story. Like, I think I know the thing that you're talking about that they're going to do for the cliffhanger for season 2. And that makes a lot of sense. A question I had: how much time passes between game 1 and game 2? It's probably gonna be a little different.
Years. And they're gonna have to do something differently there because, well, maybe not. I don't know. The animated character looks significantly older in the second game than Bella Ramsey will. They can do whatever they want to her hair. And technically, she is the age of Ellie in the second game, but she has this youthful look to her.
Right.
So that's one thing that people have been bitching about too, where they're like, they should recast because she's supposed to be so much older. And it's, I don't know. I thought she was fantastic in season 1. People don't like her for reasons, some
Age her
people,
with makeup or whatever. Like what?
Right.
most people that don't like her on the internet don't like her because she's not fuckable enough. To put it lightly, and it's like she's like fucking 14 in the first fucking game, you sick bastard. But
Ew.
nonetheless,
also she killed that giant in Game of Thrones, and how dare she?
yeah. And then you get, I think she also identifies as they them, and so there's a whole thing with that there too. And I could be wrong, but there's something in there where it's just from different angles you're getting that stupidity, and then other people just don't like it when they don't look exactly like the video game character, which means dick.
She looks pretty fucking close, if I do say so.
In the first season, I would agree. Yeah, second season they're going to struggle slightly, but
why haven't I heard anybody complaining about Fallout and their trans actor?
I haven't seen the show because I don't even know what you're talking about.
Usually, trans actor in Fallout.
Yes.
Who?
Fallout wasn't getting the amount of acclaim that and attention that Last of Us was.
I love Fallout. Though. It was so
Cody,
good.
are you doing spoiler live streams for season 2?
Possibly. I've kind of pivoted away from live streams because they're kind of stressful when you are as pedal to the metal as I am. But I loved talking about that show so much last year that it's very likely that I'll do that again. So if I'm going to start doing that stuff again, it'll be for that one.
Yay. So while we have you here, Cody, last week, the big news was not you. It was San Diego Comic-Con, and Robert Downey Jr. is back again.
Dexter's back again.
First, Robert Downey Jr. as Doom.
Desperate. I mean, I love Robert Downey Jr. I love his work in the MCU. I'm really interested in the Doctor Doom character. There's a piece of him coming in and kind of pivoting to villain that is somewhat interesting to me. But, I mean, it's impossible not to see it through the lens of just the state of the MCU right now. I mean, they have not been doing great over the last number of years. Deadpool's kicking ass, but, a couple of films before that, they had their lowest box office ever. And they've had a couple that did not get rated very well either, which has been a kind of a first for them in this phase. And so they just even them getting the Russo brothers back felt desperate. I understand that one at least because, I mean, the Russo brothers, say what you will about what they've done outside of the MCU. For me, they've directed 4 out of arguably the top 5 in that universe.
Yeah.
I mean, they've directed what I often call as my favorite comic book film of all time in Winter Soldier. So I have no reason until they deliver a shitty one to doubt them in this world underneath the management of the MCU. But when you have them come back because 2-3 directors, however many directors have left the project, and you have the Jonathan Majors stuff, and like they even had Sean Levy, who is on cloud 9 right now with Deadpool and Wolverine breaking all these records. They even asked him if he wanted to direct the Avengers, and he was like, no, I'm good. So yeah, there's smoke there. And so you have them come out as the big announcement that everybody kind of knew because it had already been talked about in all the trades and everything a week prior. And then they say, we're getting rid of the Kang shit, which most people want. And we're going to bring Doctor Doom, which most people want. And then, okay, cool. Russo's brothers are back. That's somewhat exciting, albeit very safe. Pivoting to Doom, cool. And now we got this man, though, the greatest actor in the world. But I think we only there's one person that can play Doom, and he comes out, and it's Robert Downey Jr. And for me, instantly, all the excitement that they built.
Well, what if apparently there's a storyline where Iron Man is Doctor Doom? If they explain it that way, would it be easier to swallow?
No, it's not the logic of it that's an issue for me. It's the optics of it. So you have Doctor Doom, which in and of himself is one of the more celebrated and popular villains in comic book history.
If not the most, sure.
There's literally a frame in a comic somewhere where he like rips the spine out of Thanos.
Yeah.
And Thanos, up to this point, like not even close, is the biggest thing that we've come against in this universe. And you got a guy that can just fucking cream him in a second. That should be enough. That should be enough. Like, we got this bad motherfucker coming, and he's going to be the bad guy of this multiverse saga and the next 2 Avengers films, and get ready because Doom's coming. That should be enough. But now it's not that. It's not the entrance of the character. It's not the implications of what the character is going to do to the universe. It's Iron Man's back, but he's evil now. And it doesn't matter if he's actually a Tony Stark variant. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, following a comic book storyline. It doesn't matter if it's there's people out there saying that they've already confirmed, no, this is Victor Von Doom. It's not a Iron Man variant, which is going to be confusing. But even if it's that, it doesn't matter, because for the viewers, it's evil Iron Man. For the Avengers, it's evil Iron Man. Nobody's going to walk up to him and say Victor Von Doom. They're going to go, what the fuck, Tony? And now all the people that are really excited for it, which is cool. If you're excited for that, it works for you. That's awesome. I'm not trying to shit on it, but
sexist.
Now, the only thing that people are talking about in regards to this, as far as excitement goes, is, ooh, how cool is the scene going to be when Spider-Man sees him? How cool is the scene going to be when Captain America sees him? And it's all about this fan service, like cameo brain that we've been having in the Marvel Cinematic Universe lately, which Deadpool and Wolverine is absolutely a product of that, but I loved it. But you have that where nowadays nobody's talking about the story. Nobody's talking about the implications of the movie in the universe. Nobody's talking about anything narratively going on with the characters. They're just like, I wonder who's going to show up. I heard Daredevil's coming in. And this is just a version of that. I heard Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, but he's evil this time.
Well, Gray's got a point. Would any of us be talking about it if it was, I don't even know who that is.
Jamie Lannister.
Oh.
Which, honestly, that's great casting. I'd love to see him as Dr.
Great
Doom.
job,
That
Gray.
sounds amazing, yeah.
Would people be talking about it? Yes. It just would be for a different reason. I think people would be excited that Doom is coming into the universe. I think they would be excited about the casting, no matter who the casting is, really. Anybody but Robert Downey Jr., as long as they got a really good actor and did the same entrance, you know, fucking Nicolas Cage, doesn't matter. Be like, whoa, what the fuck? But maybe not to this degree. But again, we're all talking about it in a mixed negative light, you know, and so that's, I don't know if that's what they intended or not, because I've seen such split reactions. People like, this is genius. People like, fuck this, they're done. But it's them pulling a Hail Mary. We don't know how narratively to get everybody excited, because we have shit the bed with the multiverse stuff. We shit the bed with Kang. Jonathan Majors literally shit the bed, so now we can't do anything further with him. And so
was
now,
Amber Heard that shit to bed.
Yeah, correct. Yes, sorry, I'm getting my criminal cases.
You're getting your shit wrong.
A lot of bed shitting in Hollywood. It gets a little mixed up. Okay.
But you have, they don't have the time nor the confidence that they're going to get everybody excited about Doom the way that they did Thanos, and the way they were trying to do with Kang, where you sprinkle them in and you build things up and you know, set the building blocks. Now they have a couple of movies until Avengers Doomsday, so they have to cheat and say, Robert Downey Jr., get excited. And it's not about the character, it's about the actor.
Yeah. Somebody asked, it between the Russos and RDJ, it's over $160 million for just those 3 people.
And I couldn't quite get it clear whether that was for both movies or just Doomsday. But regardless, when there's a rumored 60 plus characters that are going to show up among these movies, and I mean, just the OG Avengers, you would think they're all kind of A-list talent paychecks. Maybe not Robert Downey Jr. level, because he just won the Oscar, but yeah, when you're paying over 160 million, because it said he made over 80 million, they wouldn't say specifically what, over 160 million for 3 people out of production crew and a cast that's probably going to go well into the 200-300s.
Hawkeye's going to make $50. It's all right.
What if they did this? What if instead of coming out on stage be like, we're doing Doom and it's Robert Downey Jr., they said, it's Doom and we're not going to tell you who's playing him. And then so for the next like 2 years, there's just like this mystery, And then like at the very end of the movie, they reveal it's Robert Downey Jr. How do you think that would go over? What do you think the reaction with that would be like? Or what if they never reveal that it's Robert Downey Jr. and that we're just like always just like left in the dark? We eventually piece it together. So, I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. Like,
it's hard to wrap my head around it because there's just no reality. No matter how many multiverses we have, where Disney and Marvel doesn't fucking, doesn't pull somebody out on stage to get the word going. I mean, fuck, they revealed Blade 6 years ago. We still don't have a script. But
that was why I did not expect Blade to show up in Deadpool and Wolverine. I had a second. I'm just like, oh,
dude, it throws a monkey wrench in things because what if we just go back to Wesley? Just
it's right there.
Yeah,
still looks good.
Earmuffs if you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, guys.
A little late.
But did you see that Ryan Reynolds posted something on Twitter today?
No.
It was 4 different pictures of him on set with Wesley Snipes, and it says retweet this if you want a Logan style send off for this man.
Oh,
and Hugh Jackman got onto it too. So I think it's happening. I think they don't know what the fuck to do with Blade and the way that they were thinking they were going to do it. And I think that the reaction that they have got with his entrance in Deadpool and Wolverine, which it doesn't matter who you talk to, everybody says that was the biggest, like, oh, fuck. Certainly was for me, was for my father, was both times I went to the theaters to see it.
Dude,
I think
execs
it's proof,
must be furious.
I think it's proof of concept where Ryan Reynolds fucking hijacked it and is like, yeah, remember when I had to leak my own footage to get my fucking movie made that now you're making like a couple $1 billion on? Just trust me. This man needs a movie.
Dude, the execs have to be furious with Ryan Reynolds between the two things you mentioned. Like, can he just stop fucking tweeting, please? We have to dump money to things we're not sure about.
Cry about it, guys. Whatever. He's right. Blade comes out, and it's a Wesley Snipes send-off rated R movie. Fuck it. I mean, that bank.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Bank.
I don't hate it at all.
I love that. Like, I love Mahershala. I was so hyped when I heard he was cast as the role, but if I don't know if it's him or if it's the studio or what's keeping that movie down, but sometimes you gotta let something go, you know?
My speculation is that for the longest time they were trying to figure out how to do it PG-13. And then the closer we got to Deadpool and they were seeing the pre-order numbers and everything else, they were like, oh shit, like we can still make rated R movie and make over $1 billion. Like we might need to actually be faithful for this. And so then they kind of pivoted to that. You know, there's the reported script too that came out where Blade was not even the main character, and it was like some female character that was going to be the forefront of the movie. So you have all those stupid ideas in there too. So I think it's literally that. It was at first they didn't know what the movie was going to be rating wise, and then there's just the overall issue of like, okay, so now we have to explain how vampires exist with Iron Man, and we've never seen them. And the same problem they're going to have with X-Men.
Right.
You know, the bigger this universe gets, the more shit they're going to step in with that. So I think that's the biggest issue. And so I would not be surprised at all if there's already conversations being had where they're like, love you, Mahershala, but we just don't know what the fuck to do with this. And so we're either going to table it and punt for 5 years or, oh shit, everybody's excited about Snipes. Never mind. Here's your check. Bye. Hey, Wesley.
Yeah, you could segue and be like, all right, well, next time. we'll do
I
you
mean,
next
they
time.
have the line in the movie where it's like, only been one blade. Only ever going to be one blade. And like, there's a lot of things in that movie that like, if it was vehemently opposed to their plan, their vision or whatever, you'd think somebody would be like, you got to cut that, Ryan. I mean, they have lines in there where he's like, welcome to the MCU. You're joining at kind of a low point. You know, things. If they didn't somewhat agree and know that that's pretty valid, they would cut it.
Right.
There was like 4 or 5 times where it was like savage with the roasting of the MCU. It was like, oh,
enough of the multiverse thing. It just miss after miss. I
think my
fucking
favorite
loved it, man. I loved it. I was like, good, okay, good. You can roast yourself. You can laugh at yourself. Now get the shit back on track.
Right.
Robert Downey Jr. Fuck.
A day later, 1 day later.
Well, there's, and we talked about this with Gray last week. There's that one shot in Deadpool where it's like a rant in Happy Hogan's office where they're just like, Cap Shield, Mjolnir, this picture of Tony Stark that's kind of off to the side, and like you can still see it, but hey, there's clearly Tony.
It was covering Spider-Man because nobody remembers him.
Which is interesting.
I don't think they could have afforded him either. I think to show him they would have wasted one of their Spider-Man things.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
I think it's far more cynical than they didn't want to remember it. All right. So, Cody, you have a video where you discuss Dexter, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're on a time here, so I want to get to this other point because
Eve Mux
something's
is
up on
amazing.
what?
Eve Mux
Yes,
is
there you go.
amazing.
I'm
If you want to be,
surprised it doesn't have a fucking timer that's right here.
so there was an interview with Vince Vaughn or his
Oh, we're just
appearance.
skipping right over Dexter. Okay.
Well, Lindsay hasn't seen it, and all right. So
Well, you guys should definitely talk about Dexter. Just because I haven't seen it, like, go for it. Like, don't worry.
I
about
can be
it.
brief. I can be brief.
So he's voicing the prequel series and
Which I
returning.
expected.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mhm.
And he's returning for the sequel series.
Dexter Resurrection. Yeah, so like I mean we've thought, you and I have thought ever since that night when the finale hit, we're like, they clearly thought we were just going to be like, awesome job guys, and they were going to start Harrison season 1 or New Blood season 2. And like I literally said in my review, I was like, you fucking wait, less than a week later they're going to announce this shit. But the outcry was so loud that they were like, take this fucking idea and kick it that way. And so, yeah, so we're getting Michael C. Hall back for the voice, which I expected, and that's fine. I'm intrigued by this prequel series, although I don't think it's necessary whatsoever. It's like we've got all the backstory we need. What are you going to tell us? But the sequel series, yeah, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This will be fooling me 3 times. I don't know who to shame anymore, but.
Shame on Lindsay.
I mean, there's a part of my brain that's like, if I'm going to be optimistic, I love the fact that that's not the ending now. There's the potential that now that he's on the run, that could be really intense, and we might actually get that scene with him and Batista that they cock-teased us with and then didn't deliver at all. Like, there's things about it where I'm like, okay, maybe this is a necessary evil. And then there's the other side of my brain that's like, go fuck yourself. This is the 3rd time. Like, how many just kiddings are you going to have? And that takes away a lot of stakes, too, because let's say we get to an ending by the end of this season, which they've left open-ended and say, I don't know how many seasons it's going to be.
Yeah.
Smart, because you fucked up when you didn't do that with New Blood when you saw the ratings. But where's the stakes if they can just keep finding these bullshit reasons to bring him back? Even
Not
if he's
only
shot point blank in the chest. You know what I mean?
That, if they're going to say just kidding, go back to the end of season 7. Just start from there. Just start from there. Fuck it.
Yes.
What LaGuerta here's a bench. All right, anyway, so Deb's a drunk.
That was a fucked up dream. Anyway, that'd be the one time that as a society we'd be like, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
You know?
Continue.
Yeah.
How many seasons was the original Dexter? 4
8.
or 5? 8. Oh, wow.
It was
Okay.
8 seasons, and then there was New Blood, which is technically like season 9, but it's kind of stylistically, it's kind of its own thing. It's like an extended epilogue,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's
okay.
You know, the bridge between the true epilogue, apparently.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, Lindsay, if you plan on seeing it, it'll be confusing to know that there's a sequel. That's all I'll say.
Well, blew my mind when I heard it was a sequel because a friend of mine who was a big Dexter fan, he just texted me randomly once like, God damn it, Lindsay, they ended Dexter by having him just sail into a wave. I'm like, what do any of these words mean? I've never watched the show. What are you complaining about, right? I don't get it.
Here's the other part that kind of fascinates me, which I didn't get anybody in my comment section biting on this one because I asked the same thing in my video. What about the people that actually loved the ending of New Blood? Just fuck them? Like, I can't imagine what that must feel like to, like, they fuck up the ending on the season 8, which there's even some fans of that one. But imagine you don't like season 8, you waited for years, they finally do New Blood, you're actually really satisfied with that ending, and then they say, just kidding, we're going to keep going. Like, how aggravated must those people be?
Well, could they pull off like a Deadpool and a Wolverine thing where it starts with someone just digging up Dexter's corpse and then they just resurrect him somehow and it's like a big joke?
Well, the only context he's given is by saying it's really cold out there.
Yeah.
So obviously what they're going to do is they're going to say that the weather outside slowed his blood flow enough where he didn't bleed out or something. The problem is his girlfriend that totally sold him out is inches away from him. So like they're going to have to make some giant fucking leaps in the opening minutes of this show.
Interesting. Okay.
Giant leaps.
Okay.
Yeah. There something that I can maybe see, and I think I'm okay with it, I guess, because I thought of it, is him being in jail, but they have to do like some sort of Silence of the Lambs thing where they need his help to get a different killer. Like maybe.
No.
Well,
No.
listen, I
Would Manhunter work better if they went like Hannibal Lecter, but pre what's his
sure.
face playing the character? Like
I don't know how I just if you're gonna go back, go a little bit further. Explain what happened to LaGuerta, please. Thank you.
You just see it does this little melancholy black and white retelling of the end of New Blood, and all of a sudden you hear "Wake up, motherfucker!" and it's Dokes.
Yes.
Like,
I'm okay with all of that.
like, holy shit, you deleted the whole show. This is
awesome.
crazy. Yeah.
Nothing matters. Like, I don't care. Okay, because we're on a timer. On Hot Ones last week, Vince Vaughn was asked about.
he's a hot one.
Yeah, not quite as hot as Josh Hartnett, but he was asked.
What has he done lately? Because usually you only go on Hot Ones if you're promoting something.
He's got something coming out this week.
Ooh,
I don't know
show
if
or
it's
something.
a series. I think it's a streaming thing or something.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
Lindsay, I need your eyes because I can't read
yes.
this.
Sorry, I'm just pulling up to see if there's anything coming up for Vaughn. We'll look at that in a moment. But here, I've got a quote here from Mr. Vaughn.
Wait.
No, sorry.
Go ahead.
The people in charge don't want to get fired more, so then they're looking to do something great.
More
so
so
they
than,
want.
there you go.
Say it again?
More so than they're looking to do something great.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
right.
embarrassing. So they want to kind of follow a set of rules that somehow get set in stone that don't really translate, Vaughn said. But as long as they follow them, they're not going to lose their job because they can say, well, look, I made a movie off the board game Payday, so even if the movie didn't work, you can't let me go, right? And people want to laugh. People want to look at stuff that feels a little bit like it's, dangerous or pushing the envelope, he said. I think they're going to see more of it in the film space sooner than later, would be my guess. On Vince Vaughn, on his opinion on the state of R-rated comedies.
Yes, I watched a version of this that even went back a bit before that. So kind of, he was basically saying that nowadays it's all about IP, where nowadays it's like, he said Battleship. Like Battleship is a movie that gets greenlit, even though it's just a board game we used to play. When back in the day, when they said IP, it would liken more to like, we need a movie about a girl turning 16. We need a movie about a kid that's getting his driver's license. It was like these concepts that everybody could latch into. And nowadays it's just recognizable names. And then it led into that quote.
Yeah. So I don't think he's right. I think the big spenders are really nervous about putting budgets behind stuff that the internet's going to go, at least a portion of the internet's going to go crazy about. I feel like we're making strides. We're not anywhere near perfect. The Jennifer Lawrence movie from a year or two ago,
last year.
It's a step in the right direction. I actually just watched the TED television series. That is a step in the right direction. It's only 7 episodes, but it has so many different moments where it feels like classic Archie Bunker. There's moments where it feels like that 70s show, but for the 90s. There's moments where it feels like, obviously, Family Guy.
I would say even Deadpool and Wolverine was a pretty big, harken back to just give no fucks comedy.
And that's big money, too.
Yes.
So I think you just need to gamble. I think somebody needs to gamble on themselves and then sell it. But I don't think you can't make comedy, that pushes boundaries anymore. I really think that's
comedy's
not
being
true.
kept alive by comedians,
right?
Not the movie industry. But then it's exactly what you say though. Like every time, I mean, certain ones more than others. I mean, Joe Rogan just had a live one 2 nights ago, and all I've seen on Twitter is the left side of Twitter just roasting everything he says. Like he's still talking about COVID vaccines, and he's still saying misogynist shit. When are we going to stop accepting this? And it's like, it's fucking funny. Shut up. But yeah, I'm right there with him. I've been saying it. I think you've been saying it too. Me and you behind closed doors have had this conversation 10,000 times in the last few years about the state of comedy, and that's exactly what it is, and everybody knows it. Is that, comedy is supposed to offend on some level. Comedy is supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to go just past the acceptable line. That's why it's funny. We have certain things that we don't joke about anymore. Fine. Some of that's probably a good thing, but throwing out everything is not the solution. And the point that he makes at the end there where he's like, I think it's coming back sooner than later. I think that's a reality I want to live in. I feel like the amount of us out there that are in the gray, where we're like, look, we understand things that we're not supposed to joke about, and we understand we're supposed to make strides, but also I want to laugh, and everything should still be fair game. Not you can joke about these people, but not these people, or you can joke about this situation, but not this one. And I think there's more people that believe that than those that are trying to choke the life out of comedy.
Yeah. I feel like, well, somebody brought up in the chat about having money. Seth MacFarlane has fuck you money, and that's kind of what he did with Ted. And it's not just crass jokes for the sake of crass jokes. There's a moment in that show where you have to keep in mind that they're presenting this show. They're kind of cheating. They're doing like this ironic foreshadowing with, social stuff, but in a episode that takes place in 1993, the entire season takes place in 1993. They have this discussion about gay relationships, and it's done in a way that is challenging yet still funny, and still like open enough to see both sides of an argument and understand that progressing is right. Looking at it from the 2024 lens, it's like, oh, this conversation shouldn't happen, but it never did. So like that's the neat thing, where it's like you could still have fun with this and have something that has a purpose and feels important, but still be like, hey, isn't this kind of funny, guys? And I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's something we need, because until you take something off its pedestal, it will always be on that pedestal. Everything should be fair game, and you need to find out the hard way just where that line is. And art is supposed to be about pushing boundaries, testing borders, and challenging people. And why is suddenly why is suddenly comedy not something we can challenge people with? It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Did I piss you off, Lindsay? What was that exhale?
No. I've been looking at numbers here for like what happened to like the $10-20 million like comedy movie. Like we can have those with horror. We got Blumhouse churning out 12 movies a year, $1.25 million a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't we have that with comedies? And so I started looking back, like, like it was like, what are some of the most expensive comedies ever made? And some of them are actually kind of would blow your mind. Like Little Fockers cost over $100 million to make.
That's the third one.
80 of that went to De Niro and Stiller.
no, definitely. But still, it's just like, Jesus, that's just misappropriating money right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's Robert Downey Jr. for comedy's sake.
There you go. But then Sex and the City 2 was like 110 million. No, 92. Sorry, 92.
Yeah, that's not R-rated testing. Look at Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah. No, that was 85. No, 82. Sorry, 82 million for Tropic Thunder.
And that's pretty effects driven for comedy.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. cost that alone to be in Avengers 5.
I almost
saw a brilliant meme that said we could have had this. We could have had him come back and just play Kang, and it was him in the blackface.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I was like, oh yes,
that would have actually been incredible. I would have loved.
Can you imagine how fucking hilarious it would have been if they said, like, we're recasting Kang and only one man, like same situation, only one man can play him, and he comes out and I'm a lead father, motherfucker. Like, can you imagine
as his character,
the internet getting set on fire?
Yeah.
I would play that fucking clip for a year.
I'm sorry, Lindsay, what were you?
No, I'm just like, why are people scared of making comedies now? Like, I get it. It's like, it's a different, like, era than like the early 2000s when we had like 15 American Pie spinoffs coming out every other month. But I feel like there's still a space for those. Did American Reunion really flop so hard that we can't do those kinds of comedies
it's comedy
anymore?
that doesn't fly anymore. I mean, they literally will go back to scenes of the original American Pie and try to cancel it, like him putting the webcam and filming the chick without consent.
That's fair.
Where back in the day, it's like we all know that there's wrong there, but the situation inside of the movie is fucking hilarious because it gets turned on him because now he has to do it in front of the entire school, and then he blows his load twice. So it's like the just desserts kind of thing. But they can't. They're afraid to do that type of stuff now.
Yeah.
Well, then what about like another game night? I don't know, not necessarily game night. It
wasn't very R-rated. It was just good. It
wasn't. I thought it was R-rated because there's a few murders in it, isn't it? Or
doesn't really challenge like any sort of, I don't know, society norms or anything. It's just, it might just be the fact that it's murder.
I think the last two like heavily R-rated films that I just laughed my ass off was Ted and This Is the End. I don't know which one came out last.
Wow, those are both a while
This
ago.
Is the End came out after Ted, I think.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. And you know, they one of them's heavily stoner humor and a lot of references, and then the other one is like, you know, dude humor. And back in the day, dude humor was a certain brand. Nowadays, it's all the ists and the isms. You know what I mean? It's so. I think that's exactly what it is. It's like they don't want to have their movies get canceled or become popular for the wrong reasons, and then when they make the safe comedies, nobody thinks they're funny, so they bomb at the box office and they learn the wrong lessons from it.
Right. You don't have to make documentaries. You could still do commentary on something and highlight just how absurd it is. That's what comedy's supposed to be, is absurd, ironic.
I wonder if some of it is like Marvel movies kind of took over the comedy for a bit, because some of those are, I don't know.
You mean like Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah, Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Ant-Man.
There was a certain, I forget who it was. There was either an actor or director that said something like that. They said, you know, comedies are dead because now they've kind of been absorbed into the other genres. You get the action comedies, you get the horror comedies, but you don't just get straight comedies anymore. They have to have some other selling point with them, which translates to what Vince Vaughn's saying about IP. Comedy's not good enough. What can you attach this to?
Dude, Beverly Hills Cop was just fine.
Yeah.
More of that, please.
If you have to do IP.
Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't the best Bad Boys, but it was still fine. Par for the course, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just there appears to be this void where, like you were talking about, Cody, there was Seth Rogen and his pals back then, and you know, there's like the R-rated group every couple of generations or whatever. We don't have one right now, and I think that's the only problem, is we don't have one, which people need to stop like linking everything to comedy. Like you can be absurd. Yeah, it's crazy that somebody's filming somebody through the internet, but it's comedy. It's fake. You know, there is comeuppance, like you brought up, Cody. Why don't you have this problem when somebody gets murdered in a thriller? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why do we get so sensitive to comedy all of a sudden?
I think society as a whole now, which kind of ties back to my experience this weekend, is like not everybody, most of the internet really just wants to get behind some kind of activism. They want to hold a sign and picket for something. And on weekends where it's slow, it's the guy that doesn't like trap. And then on weekends where you have a new comedy, it's like, oh, what are the implications of this? If you laugh at this, what does that say about you? And that's a climate that's getting old for a lot of people. And, you know, people where it seemed like it was the majority, I think we're starting to get it to where it's diluting down to just the loud minority. And when it gets to a point where it's just a loud few, hopefully we'll get some more.
Yeah.
I mean, comedians, the comedy world wholly rejects it. I mean, there's a line in Joe Rogan's stand-up from 2 nights ago where he talks about how like Fox News tried to cancel him and say like Joe Rogan opens up anti-woke comedy club in Austin, Texas. He goes, oh, so you mean I opened a comedy club? And like that's literally it. Like you go see pretty much any comedian and there's a good bit of their act that's like, fuck all this. You know what I mean? And so I think that keeps it alive very much. And as soon as it starts to escape the comedy clubs and get back into the mainstream. Maybe it's going to take comedians funding their own films. I mean, I for whatever reason I didn't see it, but I know Bill Burr did the Old Dads movie, which is like a totally anti-woke type
well,
movie.
It's essentially his stand-up bit with actors in it.
And that's what I felt, and so I didn't dive into it right away because I'm so familiar with his stand-up.
Right.
And that's commonplace for comedians. I mean, people used to do that in sitcoms. You watch King of Queens in the first season, and the first half of the season is all these bits that you used to see Kevin James do. It's just in motion. And so it might take that. It might take comedians doing a little independent movie, funding it themselves, getting a distributor that don't give a fuck. It succeeds, and all of a sudden Hollywood goes, "What's money?"
Yeah.
I mean,
shit.
In general, that might be the way to go for a lot of things, because that's what the M. Night's been doing for the last decade now.
Don't use that comparison. That's all.
Never mind. We're fucked.
All right, sorry. All right, okay. No. But I mean, let's get Seth Rogen. He could get together a movie with a bunch of friends and stuff like that, and just make something and pay it out of their own pockets, and they'd be fine, even if it flopped horribly, right?
I don't think Seth Rogen's the type to buck the system as far as that attitude. He's already kind of caved to it a couple of times. I love the dude, but they've pressed him on it, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, well, we got to get better." Like some version of that. Like this is a change that is necessary, and it's like, fuck you, no, it's not. None of your movies would exist in this goddamn climate.
Marcy 17 Danish corner talk.
Thank you, sir.
We aren't frightened to make comedies in Denmark. That is true, but what you need to do is transcend the language barrier. I agree. There was a movie when I was over there, Small Town Killers. I think it's on Shudder in the States. It's in a different language. It's in Danish, but right off the bat, they get picked up in an airport, and there's somebody who's not white driving the cab, and they make a joke at the airport from the cab driver about him not being allowed on flights because he might be with Al Qaeda. And it was just like, God damn, we're 5 minutes into this movie. They're hitting hard. Denmark doesn't fuck around. It's really strange because they're really edgy with their humor, and they're the nicest people in the world. It's hysterical that their humor is so dark. But yeah, Americans want to see things in English. I agree, Marcy. Danish humor is quite funny, but they need to shoot it in English. I don't disagree with you. I really don't, but we're stubborn here in the States. I also think, shit. I had another one I forgot. Lindsay,
there's rumors that Spaceballs 2 is coming. What do you guys think about that?
Oh no, it was full on confirmed.
Is it confirmed?
Between I think Josh Gad and Mel Brooks are the creative team on that one.
That could be interesting.
Can it?
It could be. I mean, the Star Wars is a gold mine for someone who's willing to have some fun and kind of take some shots at people right now. I think that could be interesting.
We picked the wrong week to talk about comedy because Gray is more defensive of comedy than I am, which is fucking hysterical. Sorry, Gray. Maybe next week we'll continue this topic.
Love you, boo.
But I think it's going to have to be something like that, like what Cody talked about. You're going to have to put your money where your mouth is. And I mean, because they're streaming, it's a lot easier to take a risk today than it was maybe 15 years ago, where it'll catch an audience. If you get word of mouth on TikTok or Twitter or something, people will hear about it, they'll watch it, and it'll become part of the zeitgeist for the right or wrong reason. I mean, how often did Sony think they had something in what was actually a joke? Like Morbius, the fact that they re-put that out that's hysterical. So all news is news, I guess is the way to put it. Like, even if you're like ruffling feathers, people will watch it and, build your audience that way. I think we're getting there. It's just like you said, Cody, people need to take a risk. You're not going to get, although I don't know, with Disney making close to $1 billion now, they'll probably have $1 billion by this time next week. With Deadpool, maybe
Hollywood always learns the wrong lessons first. Yeah. So you'll get more cameo filled movies and more guest appearances, and Iron Man will say fuck once or twice, and you know, but we'll see.
Yeah, they'll screw it up.
Well, where do you think Deadpool's at right now? If you had to make a guess,
Just
It's
under
not.
900
Yeah, it's just somewhere in there.
worldwide.
yeah, worldwide 825.
Yeah, $1 billion next
It's
week.
eclipsed both of the first two films in 10 days. That's the last thing I read.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, that's right. He finally beat Passion of the Christ. I think he finally got over.
Yeah.
Yay. Lindsay, do you have what's coming out this weekend in front of you?
2 seconds.
Cuckoo
I've never heard of that.
and Borderlands.
Oh, that's right. That could be interesting. Definitely not going to unseat Deadpool, but that could be interesting.
No, Borderlands is going to fucking bomb miserably.
I was trying to be positive.
Miserably.
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying it's not going to be decent. I mean, I don't have a lot of faith in it. It seems odd that they're not promoting it at all. And even Eli Roth, I haven't heard talk about it. Like, it was last year, Borderlands was already in the can, and it was just Thanksgiving. It was the only thing he really you could get a word out of him about. So,
Okay.
I mean, the trailers have looked okay. It kind of seems like a dollar store Guardians of the Galaxy to me.
That actually that really annoys me about the movie because, and I've said this story on here before, so sorry to repeating myself, but the first game came out right as me and a friend fell in love with this band, Cage the Elephant.
Yeah.
And they had it's like, so how do you not have that song or any Cage the Elephant be part of the movie? I don't get it. It annoys me. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to assume too much. It doesn't feel like a movie that's made by fans of the video game. It feels like that cobbled, like, first surface level thing. Like, you have all these characters from these different games that I don't even think intermingle. I'm not like a Borderlands purist, but you can always smell it to me. Like, you could smell when you have a legit, not that we've had very many, a legit video game adaptation where it's like, okay, somebody understands why people like this. And then you have something like Borderlands, which is, I mean, the appeal of that game is not so much the story or the world. It's the looting and the shooting and the craziness and the hijinks. And so that in and of itself always kind of gives me pause where it's like there's a movie in there somewhere. It's just a recognizable name, actually. But then, yeah, you have all these different characters and Tiny Tina and, you know, all these different people. And it just looks surface level to me. It looks like, you recognize these things, guys?
Cody, what is the range you see this movie doing? Like, what is the low end of what it does this week? What's the high end? Because I'm like, I don't, if it makes 50 million, I don't know if I should be shocked or not.
I mean, I'm not really into the box office stuff to even give you a real accurate guess, but I would be surprised if it does.
According to Slash Films, it needs a miracle to avoid disaster. So,
what did Trap make this weekend?
15.
I would be surprised if it made 10.
It's going to do Harold and the Purple Crayon numbers. Okay.
I mean, you got to think Trap, a movie that's been advertised like crazy with a name that's recognizable, like M. Night Shyamalan, and there's a little bit of buzz there, and people are always intrigued. Versus Borderlands, a trailer that I've seen twice in 6 months.
Is it the fact that it's too late? It feels like that was a thing that would have been topical 9 years ago, maybe.
It's that, I mean, and the fact that they haven't really been advertising it right, and the advertisements they are giving aren't really that good. Like, they're not telling you anything about the movie. It's just like Kevin Hart being goofy, Claptrap falls down, and they've had the popular music behind them. It's so Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm pretty sure they're using songs from Guardians of the Galaxy too. At least one, maybe two of them are definitely Guardians.
People see through that, and then there are those of us that are actually interested in Borderlands because it's Eli Roth or it's Borderlands know that this thing has been in development hell for the last couple of years and has sat on a shelf and things like that, and so that gives it a stink. I think there's just a lot of reasons. Like, I actually forgot that it was coming out this week, and I plan my shit out a month ahead.
Lindsay,
I always loved the games because like there was like 1,000 guns and they all did different things, and so it's fun to just go out in the world and see what crazy gun you get and what cool things you can do with that. I just don't see how that translates to a movie. Like there's humor in the games. Like the games can be really funny, but just like the main selling point of the game doesn't really translate. I don't know.
So what is your range, Lindsay?
I'm going to say 9 to 13.
So 20 would just be an outright win.
Success.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, well, what's the budget on it? Let's see if I can find out here.
Look at the
Borderlands.
damn budget. How many times did they film it? 6, 7? Is that 2014 money or is that? Well, Cuckoo. While he's looking that up, Cody.
70 million.
Oh,
Yeah.
they might not make their money back.
Yeah, it's not gonna. Yeah.
You've seen Cuckoo, haven't you, Cody?
I saw it at the Overlook Film Festival back in March.
And
Second favorite horror film of the year, behind Abigail.
Oh, ahead of Longlegs, huh? That's interesting. That's
Yeah,
the scariest movie in a decade.
I mean, my top 4 horror films are all pretty close if I was to rate them. Longlegs and Maxine being like right up behind Cuckoo.
Maxine.
But yeah, Cuckoo, like it's a movie that's not going to be for everybody. It's not something that I would say like everybody needs to go see it. But it's such a weird balance of taking itself seriously and being really fucking out there and weird and borderline B movie without fully going B movie.
Borderline.
And then you have what I would say is some of the best scares of the year. Don't watch the first trailer because it gives away almost all of them. And you got Dan Stevens in there, who's just had a hell of a year. I mean, he was one of the few things about King Kong that I liked. He was awesome in Abigail, and he's really good in this. Hunter Schafer.
Who's he in Abigail?
Oh, dude, he's the guy with the glasses.
The cop.
Oh, he's the Oh, he was really good. Yeah,
Those are fucking onions.
Yeah.
But he's really good in this. Hunter Schafer's really good as the lead. It's a movie I knew nothing about. I walked in blind, didn't watch a trailer, didn't know a synopsis, and it's just fucking out there. But I thought the scare scenes especially were so good. And there's even some really good humor in the movie too, which is really nice. Like not often can you find that balance where you're trying to really like disturb you and freak you out while making you laugh. But like there's a line in the trailer that's a good one where, you know, Dan Stevens is really like creepy right off the bat. Like, you know, something's going on with this guy. And so Hunter Schafer and her family are being moved to this little resort. And there's a scene where they're like, why do we got to move here? And he's like, you've always belonged here, or something like that. And she goes, that's a really fucking weird way to put it. Like it's really a funny movie at times. So yeah, it's one that pretty much everybody I saw it with didn't quite know what to do with it. They were like, I think I loved it, but I don't really fucking know what I watched. It's that type of movie. But for me, I loved the fact that it was kind of like hard to decipher a little bit. It was just kind of all over the place and crazy.
I'm excited.
Marcy wants to know what your favorite Dan Stevens performance is.
Oh Lord. I mean, Abigail's up there. I love what he did with Abigail.
Beauty and the Beast.
Guest?
Beauty and the Beast.
The Guest is really awesome. What else has he done? I'll say Abigail because I really like that character a lot.
Yeah. You're saying Beauty and the Beast, Lindsay?
No, that was a total joke. Probably Abigail for me too, because I even though I didn't recognize him, I did really like him in that.
Now that I know who it is, that's my favorite.
Well, it's just like, I just didn't recognize him. He didn't really look like himself, you know. Maybe I just don't know what Dan Stevens looked like off the top of my head. So.
He looks like Patrick. Legion is his base performance, says Jacob.
Oh, that was a show, right?
Uh-huh.
Did you find whatever you were looking up for while we kind of...
What was I looking up for?
I don't know.
Box office of Borderlands? He said 80. 70.
70.
Oh, so yes, 70 is the budget. So it's probably going to need 150, 160 to be breaking even. Well, I guess if they're not advertising it very much, so I guess maybe 100 million would put them into break even.
Dude.
The only chance this movie has to make its money back is if it comes out and it's really fucking good. And the word of mouth, like it gets like a Edge of Tomorrow type treatment. Okay. I'm not putting any money on that.
Madam Web didn't make 100. And that was in the news, at least, for all the wrong reason.
Yeah. It didn't even hit 100. I didn't know that.
Or just about 100. It was close to it.
100.3.
So it must have just hit it like a week ago or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What a weird fucking movie for Eli Roth to do, by the way.
That's a very good point.
Yeah,
like he did do House with a Clock on its Walls, but that still had like this weird element to it. It was a kid's movie, but it was there was something there that was like, okay, this is kind of a darker type thing. It's like, why?
If you had to put, going back to M. Night, if you had to like make top 10 weirdo directors, would Eli Roth be in the category with M. Night?
Define weirdo directors.
I don't know. His dialogue at times is just so like
Unlikable.
funny. Yeah, and I don't know if it.
He's got directors with an off sense of humor that doesn't work for me. Yes, they both would be in that category.
Okay. Lindsay?
Yeah, probably. I guess it's slightly different because like M. Night doesn't understand human beings, and Eli Roth only seems to understand bad human beings.
Dicks,
So,
yeah.
Frat
All
boys.
dicks are funny.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, if you want to get more scoop on Cody and the weekend that he had regarding Trap, there's 3 videos over there, Cody, on your channel.
Oh yeah, I did a spoiler-free review, and then that one took off, so I decided to do a spoiler review, which basically turns into a roast. And then I did M. Night Shyamalan films ranked, all 15 of them. So those are all 3.
And what else?
Review and pleasure.
What else?
What was at the bottom? What was at the bottom? Or what was at the bottom?
Let him go watch.
That's right.
Airbender.
Oh.
So what's coming up? Yeah, I just submitted a video today for sponsor approval that hopefully will be approved for tomorrow, and weather pending on whether I can even do anything with it. Which is a tier list where I took the horror icon list that I did last year, and instead of ranking them based off of my favorites, I'm ranking them based off of which ones I could survive. So it was kind of a fun video.
That's cute.
Yeah, so you have like Pennywise and Annabelle and Michael and Jason, and I kind of go through scenarios of like whether I'd get killed or not. So that'll be coming out soon. I also want to do a review for Cuckoo, but the only thing that's giving me pause is I haven't seen it in months, so I'm like, fuck, I really like watching it and then reviewing it. So I might just wait for release day on that one. I have already seen this film, but I really loved it from last year, and I think it's going to be buzzworthy when it comes out here in a couple of weeks. Strange Darling, and it's got Kyle Gallner in it. And
I like Kyle Gallner.
I just got a screener for it so I can refresh and watch it. So I want to do a review for that very soon. But it's like a serial killer chasing the one that got away type movie, but unlike any others that you've seen from that type of premise. And it's a movie that I not only encourage, I demand that you do not watch the trailer or look up a plot synopsis or find out anything about it, because it's the type of film that if you just walk in blind and watch it, you'll have the best experience with it. Advertising it in any way it gives something away.
Interesting. I am intrigued.
It is funny, like how little you need to sell a movie sometimes. Like, because like for long
sometimes
all I knew was Nicolas Cage, what's her face from It Follows, and spooky atmosphere from the trailer. I was sold. I just turned out, and like I didn't need to see anything else specific. Then I saw the movie, and it was amazing. But then other times you have to give away.
Lindsay, you have a new video as of today. It's a rather long one, huh?
Yes. Some will say this is the worst video I've ever made. One person has told me it is the best video I've ever made. I think it is a video that I have made.
Yes,
I am.
It is
proud
definitely
of it,
one
though.
of the videos you have made.
It is, yeah. If I told you how long it took to make, it would be embarrassing considering what the final product is. But I had some fun with it, and I've got some more stuff in the pipe. I'm just kind of having fun doing stupid ideas right now. Maybe I'll get reviews out. Maybe I'll keep doing stupid stuff. I don't know. I've got more free time on my hands than I have it in a while, and I'm using it to play with Premiere. We'll see what ends up coming out.
Also, he's using it to watch shitty 2024 movies. When Gray rejoins us, we'll do our halfway, even though we're 8 months into the year point of 2024. We'll discuss our top 3, our bottom 3, surprises, so on and so forth. Again, the next time Gray's with us, we'll do that. Since we were with you last, my 31 on 31 from May has reappeared. So go check that out if you haven't. And I don't know what else is on the horizon other than maybe this show again next week. Travel safe, Gray. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Cody. And thank you to those who dropped into the chat as well as the super chats. We love you. We miss you. Goodbye.
Sponsored by Evie Mux.